Hi guys, welcome back to Heteroid Treatment with me, Soph. Sophie's Roundup is back. I'm going to discuss some of the biggest topics over the weekend. There's been a lot of football, let's face it, and a lot of goals, especially in one game, and I guess you all know what I'm talking about when we start with that one in a second. But yeah, some really interesting topics, not only to do with the football on the pitch, but also to do with fans this weekend as well. And I'd like to delve into those topics. And as always, guys, get in on the chat, let me know what you guys think as well, and I'll obviously read out as many as I can, but it should be a really interesting show. So firstly, the game that really started it all off this weekend, an absolute madness, and it happened obviously at St Mary's, massive scoreline 9-0 Leicester, matched obviously the away record as well. 9 goals for Leicester though, look, nobody would have predicted that before, that no doubt about it. It was an absolute mad game. Hi Marcus, hi Doug, hope you're both doing very well in the chat. But yeah, Vardy obviously getting a hat-trick, Jose Perez getting a hat-trick as well. It was just a mind-blowing game across the board. I think Leicester, just every time they attacked, they looked like they were going to score. It was mad. Red card obviously didn't help as well. VAR intervening again and giving that red card. And I think it was probably the right decision. I think it was unfortunate. It was obviously a bad touch that led to Bertrand getting sent off. But I think on the whole it was probably the right call, but that didn't help the game. But even before that, before the sending off, Southampton didn't look at it. Like I said, Leicester, every time they attacked, they looked like they were going to score. They absolutely blitzed them. And Leicester, we've already mentioned many times on my channel how good and how impressive they're looking this season. And for me, that just highlighted it on Friday against Southampton. I think they looked fantastic going forwards. Their midfield is just quality. And I tweeted afterwards saying, if you could choose one player from Leicester and take them at United, who would it be? And I had a lot of responses on that, but indeed, he was a name that kept cropping up. Maddison kept cropping up, Tielemans kept cropping up, and Chilwell. They seem to be the 4 players, and a few people mentioned Vardy as well. That's how good Leicester's squad is right now. I look at that and I can't choose one player who I'd take at United. I think they've got a handful of players who are just quality and who can definitely play at top level. And at the minute, they're going to be dropping down a level to come to United. Let's face that as well. That's the brutal truth of it. But that game, Southampton, I had to start with it. Leicester fans on cloud 9, as I said in the title to the video. An absolute mad result. Let's see what some of you guys are saying about it as well. Sully, hope you're good. Good evening to Wesley. Helgi, hope you're good as well. Diz, my day has been very good. It's half term for me, so I'm loving life at the moment. Mad Marcus is back modding. Good to see you, Marcus, and I hope you're doing well. Mr. E's in the chat as well. Hope you're doing well. Matthew, wasn't able to see the game yesterday. Heard we should have scored about 6. Matthew, I'll be touching on that in a minute. Good to see you in the chat as well. I hope you're good. But yeah, we definitely could have scored a lot more than we actually did. Meg says, if Leicester can win the league using a counter-attack style, does it matter that United aren't playing our style at the moment? I think the difference between Leicester and us at the minute is that they're playing with that like counter-attack style, as you say, but they're doing it fantastically well. They're playing. They all know their jobs as a team. Their midfield is a lot stronger than our midfield right now as well. And with Vardy, I think you've got that constant natural goal scorer. Have we got that at United? That is a question that we keep saying. Rashford is not a natural goal scorer. Is Martial the answer to that? We need him back fit and firing. His goal yesterday was magical. So the football before it was absolutely amazing. But I think Leicester, like you say, that the well-drilled, Rodgers is doing a fantastic job there. That was an interesting one as well. In response to my tweet regarding Leicester, a lot of people said they would take Brendan Rodgers as manager of United. Very interesting one, obviously, with his past. And get in the chat and let me know, United fans, if you would take Brendan Rodgers to replace Ollie. I think it's an interesting one, definitely. Jack Ramsey, obviously, is a Palace fan. He says his voice is shattered from last night. There's a lot of talking points from that Arsenal game, definitely. And as Marcus says, like, share and subscribe, please. I really do appreciate your support. Mystery says, our style will come in time. Leicester have had a good owner who had a plan before he said passing, and they're honouring his will. Yeah, I agree. I think the owner, obviously, the recruitment at Leicester has been fantastic. The players that they've got in, they've only made their team even stronger. And there's a clear plan. There's a clear idea behind, obviously, the starting 11. There's a clear idea from the board and above as well, where they know what kind of players they want to recruit. And it's exactly something players that we should be looking at, in my opinion. Sander, good to see you. Hope you're good. It's a stronger team versus Chelsea or Bournemouth. I reckon the Bournemouth game is more important. Can't afford to be dropping any points in the league. I completely agree with that. At the same time as well, you're looking at Leicester, and to be honest, Leicester, we've already mentioned Lampard and Ollie in the comparisons there. They've taken on 2 young teams, 2 teams where because of one reason or another, transfer ban and injuries for us, and a lack of getting people in the summer, we're having to turn to our youth. The difference is, for me, Lampard's got his team playing a system that they are used to. Everyone knows their jobs. Whereas Ollie, at the minute, I feel like we're a counter-attacking team, and when we're against teams who sit behind the ball, we really struggle. Norwich, for me, was a big positive at the weekend. I thought we played fantastically well. As Matthew mentioned, we could have scored many more goals, and I agree. I'm hoping that this Norwich game was a turning point for us now. Obviously, Rashford getting the goal was a big one. Martial getting back on the score sheet as well. McTominay is just oozing at the moment. He's getting better and better the more I see of him. And I just think hopefully that'll be a bit of a confidence booster now. Hopefully that is a turning point. And we can go stride for stride. But I do think Chelsea's a big test because we are very similar. We are very similar in the way that we are playing, very similar in the situation at the club. Obviously Lampard, with the transfer ban, he couldn't get any recruitments in, but Pulisic banging in goals at the weekend, obviously getting a hat-trick. And that is going to be one of the games we're going to be talking about in a minute. But I'm going to firstly say, Leicester, hats off, no pun intended for what happened at the Arsenal game yesterday, but hats off to them. Fantastic result, 9-0. And they deserve that. They well and truly deserved it. It could have been even more as well, to be honest. So yeah, great result for them. City against Villa. City with a 3-0 win. Sterling yet again firing. Sterling for me has been so impressive this season. He's in my fantasy league. I'm thankful for that because he's probably been one of the ones who's been getting the most points. But yeah, City 3-0. I thought that could have been a bit of a sticky game for them, but to be fair, they deserved it, like I've already said. Villa were a bit unfortunate. First half, Villa played well. Second half, City just came out and seemed to boss them. City and Liverpool, it seems to be the two, obviously, who are going for the league. I've always said, from the start of the season, I said Liverpool are going to win the league. It just seems that way. And the little decisions that are going their way as well, I just get the feeling that it's going to be Liverpool's league. But I'm hoping it's not, of course. I'm hoping it's not. Brighton against Bournemouth, not much to say there. Boring 0-0 result. I do think the two teams who are on a par really, and that's probably a fair result. West Ham against Sheffield. Sheffield again picking up an important point. Obviously, impressive game against Arsenal last week, and then the drawing with West Ham away. It's not an easy place to go to be fair. So again, decent result for them. Burnley 2, Chelsea 4. I mentioned Pulisic just getting a hat-trick. Again, Chelsea, Burnley is not an easy place to go to, and they were impressive in that game. I think Lampard is doing a great job there with what he's got to work with, and that's where I think Ollie needs to come under a question a little bit. Like I say, I'm hoping that Norwich is a turning point now. I've seen people still slating Ollie after the game yesterday. For me, we played really well. Adam said there, why is McTominay so hated? I have no idea. It's because he's not a glamorous name, as I've always mentioned it. But for me, he's getting better game by game. He doesn't deserve the hate. He's been one of our front runners definitely this season. It's been banging in goals as well. He's been banging in goals, and people like to slate him because he's not an Iniesta or not a glamorous name, you should say. But he's been doing the job for United. Alex, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. It says, "Hi Soph, how would you resolve our penalty issues?" I would let De Gea take it. No, I don't know. I think it's a confidence thing again. Like, you know what? Krul Van Gaal used him especially for penalties. He's obviously a good penalty saver. He's an expert. But at the same time, you shouldn't miss 2 penalties in the game. I completely get that. But I think we need to be practicing them in training. It's obvious we need to practice our penalties. And I think it's just a confidence thing. I think it's a mind game. Once you've missed 1 penalty and you just change the taker, I think it's a mind game. I really do. I think there's added pressure then afterwards for Martial. And that would have contributed to it. And it's one of them things. At the end of the day, we won. Let's focus on the positives. But definitely we need to focus, obviously, on the penalty takers. And we need to focus on them in training because we can't miss 2 in a game. We got lucky yesterday. If that happens in another game, we might not be so lucky. So we definitely need to focus on that. Rodriguez scored a worldie. He did score a worldie in that game, and he's got that in his locker. Rodriguez, since he's moved to Burnley, I mean, since his injury, to be fair, he hasn't seen the same player, and it's a shame really because he looked so promising. Obviously, he was put into the England squad. He looked like he was a really promising striker, and he seems to have lost pace. He seemed to obviously, maybe it's a confidence thing as well, a bit like Luke Shaw, we say he was never the same player once he recovered from his injury and got back into it. And I think that's very similar with Rodriguez. He's never really hit that potential, and it's a shame. Let's see what other people are saying. Get Milivojevic in the team to take the penalties. Yeah, he missed the reliable, isn't he, from the spot, definitely. As Marcus says, like, share and subscribe, please. I'd appreciate it. Zazie says, who impressed you this past weekend? If you're talking from United's point of view, Wan-Bissaka, he impressed me. That one challenge he made towards the end where he absolutely flipped Hernandez over was quality, especially being on a yellow card as well. He had to get that spot on, so Wan-Bissaka stood out for me. Pulisic played well for Chelsea. We were talking on the whole again. Pulisic, I thought, played well for Chelsea. Again, it's a player who really, he was given his chance at the weekend. He hasn't really hit it yet, but I think he played well against Burnley, scored a hat-trick. You've got to say he stood out, definitely. Pasha, it's nice to see you running this weekend. Quality game you played. Pash is a coach, obviously, at Kidderminster. Thank you so much for that, Pasha. Appreciate it. He's a Liverpool fan as well, sadly. So, yeah. Liverpool against Spurs, though, we will move on to that one. Liverpool, again, a massive result. They're grinding out these results this season. It's a sign of, obviously, champions. I hate to say it, it kills me, but you've got to say it's looking like it's going to be Liverpool's this season. First game, to be fair, Gazaniga in goal for Spurs, kept them in it. They were battering their goal, had numerous chances, definitely. The penalty, I felt really bad for Aurier. He's gone to clear the ball. Kicked, it was Mane, kicked him on the calf. It was a penalty. It was an unfortunate one, but it was a penalty. And like I say, it just seems like Liverpool are going to win it this season, and it kills me to say that. Pasha's love it, Liverpool to be champions. I'm obviously keeping everything crossed. I tweeted the other day saying, imagine if Leicester win the league again before Liverpool do it. And I would absolutely love that to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, obviously, but that would be my ideal situation. Not City, not Liverpool, but Leicester winning it again. I'd appreciate that. Now, the biggest talking point of the weekend, obviously, Xhaka, Arsenal in general, to be fair. Emery, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? 2-0 up at Palace, not at Palace, 2-0 up at home, obviously, against Palace. Palace getting back into the game, which shouldn't have happened anyway. I have watched a bit of the AFTV feedback as well. I have seen the incidents that have happened, but I think Xhaka, we need to focus on that. I think from a player's point of view, if your own fans are booing you, if your own fans are jeering you, then I've got to feel for it. I've got to feel for Xhaka. It must be hard, but at the same time, you have to say, you know what, he's a captain. He is obviously someone who is trusted with the armband, and he should be able to take that kind of criticism. I'm not saying he's got to like it. Of course, you will be hurt by that, but I think that as a captain, you've got to be a bit more responsible in that situation. And like I say, I do feel for him, because I think he's had a lot of stick off Arsenal fans. And maybe you have to direct that towards the manager, though, because the manager is the one who keeps playing him. Even though he has been playing poorly, at the end of the day, the manager picks him. So I think it's one of those where I do feel for Xhaka, but at the same time, you can't really defend his actions afterwards. I think it was the wrong thing for him to do. Obviously, he threw his armband. I don't think he threw that in any way, to be honest. I've heard he threw his armband. For me, from what I can gather, he threw it towards Aubameyang to put it on. Then, obviously, it did this to the fans afterwards. It almost did to up the noise levels towards him. Put his hand to his ear and then basically told the fans to F off. And then, of course, he took his top off and walked down the tunnel. But you can understand his frustration in the situation. From what I heard, the fans were booing and they were jeering because he was walking off rather than running off the pitch, trying to obviously speed up because they weren't winning. And I think Ozil had similar treatment not so long ago from the fans for that reason. But from Xhaka's point of view, he may well have thought that, you know what, the fans were booing him and cheering him for his performance, and that could have been a miscommunication there, hence why he reacted the way he did. But at the same time, like I say, no matter how you feel in that scenario, you are the captain, you are the responsible one. You can't be doing that, you're the professional at the end of the day. And I'm hearing stuff like, apparently he put on his Instagram, him and his missus had a baby not long ago, and fans were tweeting him abuse and replying to it with abuse. And for me, like, you can't be doing that as fans. Like, I know we slate our players when they play poor as influencers on YouTube and stuff like that. We have comments, you know, I've made many comments about Lukaku, Pogba, for example. And you do have an opinion as a fan, of course, but at the same time, they're representing your team. So no matter how annoyed I am towards Pogba or how annoyed I've been towards Lukaku, in that stadium, you cheer your players regardless. They're representing your club. And I just think, like, you can't be booing your own players, and I do feel for him in that sense. But at the same time, Xhaka's just got to be the bigger man there. He's just got to take it on the chin. You know what, walk down the tunnel and then show you gutted it in where no one can see you. That's fair enough. But to do it so openly and so publicly as he did, I think that was the wrong reaction. And like I say, I do feel a bit sorry for him, but at the same time, you can't react like that. And I think that because of it, I think he should be stripped of his captaincy, because at the end of the day, you can't show, as a club, you've got to show a bit of leadership and a bit of an example of players. And previous captains have made a mug of Arsenal, let's face it. Koscielny, when he took his top off and he had the new club shirt underneath, for example, that's another example. And I just think that Arsenal have got to make an example of him here. I'm not saying he won't play for Arsenal again. I think he'll obviously openly apologise for his actions and explain why he did it. But at the same time, I think Arsenal have got to make an example of him, and I don't think he'll remain as captain. I think he will be stripped of that captaincy, but I will expect an open apology from him. But like I say, it's a wrong reaction, but I do kind of feel sorry for him as well. He is professional at the end of the day, and he's got to be more professional on the pitch about it. Regardless of how he's feeling, you just can't display that kind of behaviour. You can't do that. Mystery, you're right. Like, share and subscribe. If you're new, hit the notification bell. I'd appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Pogba is out until December. Will we really miss him? Good question. And is he really injured, or do we genuinely think he might be on his way out the door? I think you can't say we don't miss him, because I do think we lack that creativity in the middle. I genuinely think we do. At the same time, there's been a lot of questions about obviously his attitude on the pitch. It's one of them. I think if Fred starts playing well, I think he had a decent game against Norwich yesterday. I think if Fred starts playing well, then you could say, you know what, we probably won't miss him too much. But if Paul Pogba's fit, you've got to say Paul Pogba's got to play, because, like I say, we do miss that creative edge, and I think that he definitely he offers something different in the middle. But if Fred steps up to the plate and Fred shows his true potential, then who knows? Who knows? At the end of the day, against Norwich, we didn't miss him, did we? So if we keep that kind of performance level up, then maybe not. Meg says if we learnt anything from last window, Pogba won't be leaving until we have a replacement. But do we learn from our past windows, Meg? That is a very good point. But you know what? I don't think our board learn from that. They see pound signs at the end of the day. And if Pogba's going to go for a mad amount of money, I wouldn't be too surprised if we don't sign many players in January, even though we do need, obviously, a lot of players. Gaz says, are you Ollie out, Sophie? I've always said, Ollie deserves to come under question. I agree with that. Some of the changes he's made, for example, being far too late, playing Pereira out on the right-hand side, being obviously isn't the right-hand side player. I completely agree that he deserves, obviously, a bit of stick for his decision-making. However, at the same time, I think that he deserves to have a bit of time. I think there's been, 5 managers now post-Fergie. The same core group of players have been letting the manager down. The board haven't really backed the managers in the right way. I think you have to say, you know what, his 3 signings that he's made so far have been impressive signings, and like I said, they've been our bright sparks really this season. I think he deserves a bit of time, and I completely agree. We should know we are in a relegation battle. Well, yes, the result helps it out a bit, but we should never be in that situation. But at the same time, there's a saying, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I think that is what's happening. He is trying to get rid of a bit of deadwood. We need to continue to do that, of course. But I think he also needs to sign players that are going to fit into his philosophy or his way of playing. And one thing that I did say about Ollie is he needs to definitely think about, when he first took over as manager, the way that he played then, we were fearless. We attacked teams, we scored goals for fun, we got confident. Recently we haven't done that. He's changed his way of playing, and I think he needs to revert back to that way of playing. I think yesterday against Norwich we played well, and I want to see more of that positive play. But at the same time, you've got to say that he lacks personnel. If you look at our squad, it's one of the weakest Man United squads I've seen ever. So I think that you also have to say, you know what, he hasn't got a lot to work with. So I wouldn't say I'm Ollie out. I do think he deserves criticism, but for me he deserves a bit more time as well, and that's my honest opinion on him. But I can understand completely why people disagree with me. The situation that we are in the league at the minute, I completely understand it, and I'm not saying I'm settling for that. I'm just saying I think he might deserve a bit more time. Hopefully in January he gets a bit more backing as well, because I think we need that. But again, I don't have much faith in the board to do that, to be honest. Jack says, Soph, give us a bit of credit for the fight back against Arsenal. You're completely right, Jack. Obviously, Palace's come back against Arsenal. To be fair, Palace showed it against us as well. Against the top teams, they do not give in. They do not give in at all. Are you getting on the score sheet again as well? And you're completely right. Palace have got this instilled into them, really, that they're fighters, and they keep battling, And then once they get one goal, I think that they feel that they're right back in the game, and with Zaha on the pitch as well, anything can happen. He obviously has that moment of magic. He got absolutely rugby tackled by Guendouzi as well, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, I think you're completely right, Jack. They do not give in, and fair play there. As a Gooner, I reckon Emery has to go. We're still not progressing, and the defence is still shit. Yeah, I think Emery, he deserves to come under question as well. A lot of people say, apart from Lacazette, Aubameyang, realistically, have Arsenal improved? Have they gotten any better? Without those 2 goal scorers, realistically, they're a very bang average team, and I completely agree with that. I think Emery deserves to come under question as well. I know a lot of Arsenal fans have now run out of patience with him. I saw yesterday the reactions. They say he's too defensive, and the defence, let's face it, is rubbish. He brought David Luiz in to change that. David Luiz, for me, is either 0 or 100. I think he's either a fantastic player or he's absolutely a shambles at the back. And I don't think he really strengthens Arsenal at all. I think you had too many characters who are already like that. And I think Emery, I don't know, I think if I was an Arsenal fan, I would definitely be losing my patience as well now. Because David Luiz for me wasn't an improvement at all. I thought Ceballos coming in was a good signing for you. But again, Emery seems to be playing far too defensive at United. At Old Trafford, you could have easily won that game, but for me, you were too defensive, too cautious, and that's down to Emery at the end of the day. There's a lot of Arsenal fans in the chat saying supporting Xhaka. Fair enough. But yeah, I think Emery, I think his time is running very, very short. And I think this yesterday with Xhaka, I think this has put even more pressure on him now, to be honest with you, because there's obviously unsettled in the dressing room as well. Yeah, it would be an interesting one to see how long he's actually got left. I don't think he's got long left, and who's going to be in next? Because Jose Mourinho has been flirting with Arsenal the last few days. Arsenal fans have definitely been flirting back with Mourinho as well, even though they absolutely slated him when he was at United and Chelsea. But they seem to be flirting with him at the minute, and they like the idea of Jose coming in. It'd be an interesting one, an interesting few months, I think, for Arsenal fans. If Emery does go, who's going to replace him? Is there going to be a new era, and is it going to be Jose Mourinho at the Emirates? Definitely interesting. Let's see what some of you guys are saying in the chat. What do you expect from the Chelsea versus Man U game? What will it be like? To be honest with you, I've already mentioned the two very similar teams, to be honest, and I think that it's going to be a close game. I don't think there'll be a lot of goals in it. I think Chelsea might just nick it, and I think that's purely because we're going to focus more on the league. We can't afford to drop more points in the league. Whether you think we're right to do that, that's up to you guys, but I genuinely think that Chelsea might just nick it, being the home team. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think two very similar teams. I hope we see more of what we saw against Norwich, where we attacked. Martial and Rashford's link-up play was absolutely fantastic, especially for that goal. I want to see more of that, and hopefully we do. And I'm hoping that we just go for it. It's a cup game at the end of the day. We should just go for it. Tactical one says United to win on penalties. We've got to score one first. To win on penalties, you've got to be able to score. So I don't have much hope for that at the minute. But fingers crossed. Let's see what other people are saying. Do I regret Zaha leaving United? Yeah, I do. I think he should have been given more of a chance. I don't know if he's consistent enough to play at the top level for United, for example, but I do wish he was given more of a chance because he's an absolute game changer. And if we had Zaha in our team now, I think he would transform us. We're lacking someone like that. We don't play wingers anyway, but we're lacking someone like Zaha, someone who gets you off the edge of the seat, gets you excited, and you expect something to happen. We don't have that enough at United. 7th, how dare Ollie win games with 4 different managers play? How dare we get rid of Deadwood? Says Mr. E, a bit of sarcasm there. I've already given you thoughts on what Xhaka did. What do you guys think about Xhaka? Do you think Xhaka deserves to go for that? Do you think he deserves a second chance? If he apologises, of course. I'll be interested to see what the grand scheme is. I tweeted about it yesterday, and Arsenal fans thought I was bantering them, and I actually wasn't. I was genuinely trying to see what they thought about the situation, whether they thought it was right, wrong. So obviously, you're not being in the stadium, you don't know what it was like. You don't know if they were genuinely booing him or it was just misunderstood. So I think it's a really awkward one. But Dan James, I want to talk about. Mentioned Zaha. Dan James for me is the player at United at the minute who is getting you off the edge of the seat. The ball for Rashford's goal yesterday was fantastic. He is a constant outlet for us. I just love it. His electrifying pace, his work ethic, everything about him. I think he's been an amazing signing for us. Bargain definitely of the transfer window. And I think he's just been superb, and he's exceeded everyone's expectations. And you know what? He's actually more of a technical. Like, I thought he was just literally knock and run kind of player. That ball yesterday proved he isn't. And the amount of goals that he's obviously scored so far this season, and the kind of goals that he has been scoring, fair play to him. I think he's been absolutely fantastic, and he's proving people wrong. And loads of people have been saying, oh, Pepe this, Pepe that. Dan James has definitely been more of a standout player so far this season. And I'm not doing that to banter Arsenal fans. I'm doing it just to show that people did not expect anything from him. And he's proven a lot of people wrong. And he's definitely our one player this season who we are turning to. Xhaka should not be stripped of the captaincy for his behaviour. Not acceptable from a so-called captain. Unprofessional from him. So Alex there says that he definitely should be stripped of it. Very interesting to see what you guys think about it. Imagine if we had both Zaha and James. Yeah, I want to talk about Rashford as well, because Rashford gets so much stick. I replied to Ranch's tweet yesterday because he said something about, oh, happy to see Rashford actually have a back heel that was successful or something like that. And in my opinion, you know what, Rashford gets some stick sometimes, but he's the guy who, you know what, he makes driving runs, he is positive 9 times out of 10. Yes, decision making is so frustrating at times, and I completely agree with that. And he isn't a consistent goal scorer, I completely agree. But you know what, when someone does something good, like that back heel yesterday and the link up with Martial, why can't you just credit it? Why can't you just say, you know what, fantastic back heel from Rashford, that's more like what we want to see from him. His touch and his finish for his goal was world class yesterday as well. Why don't we hear many people talking about that? It's more focusing on the stuff he does wrong. And that's something that really annoys me about fans in general, not just United fans, but this football banter Twitter and all this, what goes on. I just think, you know what, if someone does something good, just credit them. Like, I hated Lukaku at United at times, hated it. But you know, if he did something good, I would say, you know what, fair play, credit where it's due. That was a great finish from Lukaku there. You know, and I just think, you know what, like, credit, it was good link up, the movement as well from Martial and Rashford. I want to see more of that link up between those two. And maybe Norwich was a turning point. Maybe that is just a forming of a partnership. They were kind of telepathic the way that they played up top yesterday when they scored that goal. I want to see more of that. I want to be more positive, but at the same time, I want to see people crediting players more. McTominay scores another goal, put in a great performance. Yes, made one mistake and we conceded from that. And of course, I'm sure he'll be disappointed just as we were with that. But on the whole, you have to say, you know what, credit where it is due. McTominay again was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic yesterday. And people hate on him because he's in a glorious name. But you know what, give him credit where it's due. He fought for the badge, he battled, he was an absolute warrior in there, and he's getting better by every game. The more I see McTominay, the more I like him. Rashford tries things constantly, doesn't come off all the time, but imagine if he just stopped trying things. Exactly. Rashford tries to be positive, he actually tries to make runs. And for me, the one criticism is Rashford should play out wide and not centrally. If he does play, coming in off the left is where he's most effective. Or maybe even try him in a 2 with Martial. Yeah, but I think he isn't an out-and-out number 9, which is where we're trying to play him. He isn't that player. That's my one criticism of him. But I think when he's on his day and when he's running that pace, he's obviously got electrifying pace. His dribbling can be fantastic, and he can finish. He's not the most consistent, but he can finish. And I think when he's on his day, he is unplayable at times, and he gets a lot of stick. And for me, he's trying things. At least I would happily see Rashford trying things rather than seeing players stroll around the pitch and us look absolutely out of ideas. At least he tries things. Yes, they don't always come off, but he's being a bit positive. And you can't knock someone for being a bit positive because we don't have enough positivity at United right now. And McTominay's another one. He'll run through brick walls for his manager. Lewis has just said that in the chat as well. He'll run through brick walls for United. You can tell that he absolutely loves the club. Yeah, he's not the most technical player, but he's a player who will give everything. He tries to be positive, and he's trying to show a bit of fight and a bit of love and a bit of passion for United and for the club. We don't see that enough. So rather than insulting his technical ability, why not praise it? Why not praise a player for actually trying to do things, trying to be positive? George says, our main issue is the lack of service from the midfield. I blame Fred. Fred wasn't too bad the other day. I think maybe with game time we'll see a better Fred. But I think, to be honest with you, you have to look at it on a whole. Are we missing Rashford? Are we missing Rashford? Are we missing Pogba? Because Pogba's ball through for Rashford were very effective. When he linked up with Ibrahimovic, that's probably when we saw the best of Pogba creatively going forwards. I think he does need to play further forwards, Pogba, if he does come back in. Fred is more of a box-to-box. He's a bit of a technical player, but is he a creative player that we need? And I think that's an interesting one. One player I will touch on in the midfield is Pereira. I think when he plays in that 10, he is much more effective. He had a bit of a quieter game yesterday, I agree with that, but I do think that when he's more central, rather than playing out on the right, he is much more effective. But again, Pogba for me should be playing that furthest forward role, maybe in the 10, definitely a furthest forward midfielder, because I think he is through balls. And his creativity is something that we do lack. And I don't know if Fred has got that in his game, which is why I said give him a bit of game time. He played alright against Norwich, but it is Norwich. Maybe try him against Chelsea in the same position and see if he has a similar effect. But yeah, I think he deserves a bit more game time. He deserves to keep his place, Fred. Why not? Marcus says we're building a fantastic, respectful community here, and it's all thanks to you guys and girls. Appreciate it all, Marcus, and yourself as well, modding. Appreciate it, and to all the mods as well. Obviously, hairdryer treatment was set up to show that, you know what, I do know what I'm talking about as well. I am a girl, but I love to talk about football, and it's about having that healthy, that positive community. We're all fans, we all have opinions, and we all have a right to share them. We don't need to go slating players. We don't need to go insulting and jeering our players like Arsenal fans. We're not like that, but we do have an opinion, and we all have a right to voice it. Nobody is wrong in my opinion. Just need to be able to justify it, that's all it is. Laim said, Wan-Bissaka or James were man of the match for me yesterday. Yeah, I'd say Wan-Bissaka or McTominay. They were my man of the matches. Probably give it to Wan-Bissaka because McTominay's mistake for their goal. That's probably the thing that ruled him out. But Wan-Bissaka on a yellow card as well. And like I say, that last ditch tackle he made towards the end was fantastic. Should we put out a strong team against Chelsea? The Carabao Cup could be a winnable competition for us and a chance of winning some silverware. Alex, if I'm totally honest, I think we should put a team out that is fairly young. I think that the league at the minute, the situation we're in, obviously it's vital that we get points on the board. I'd treat it similar to the Europa League, to be honest. I think we'd give a bit of a mix. We have a bit of experience in there, but at the same time, like for example, Fred, I would start because I think he needs some constant game time. I think he needs to get back into the swing of it. We don't see enough of Fred, which is why I'm saying I think the more games he plays, the better he'll be and the confidence will grow with him. So I would say I'll treat it a bit like the Europa League. I'll treat it a bit of half and half. We'll have a fairly young team, but with some experience mixed in there. I think the league should be our priority right now. But of course, we should always be trying to win trophies, regardless of what it is. I know it's a Mickey Mouse Cup, but at the end of the day, we should always try and win a trophy. And especially in that situation right now, we're not going to have much hope of winning anything else, are we? So I think we should go for it, but at the same time, I think we need to be careful. We've got a weak squad. Any more injuries? I mean, look at it already. Martial's just coming back in, which is positive. Knowing our luck, we'll put a full strength team out on Wednesday. Someone else will get injured, and we're back on the back foot again. And I think that's because we didn't get enough players in, obviously. So I'll be really careful about how we approach it. I would approach it like the Europa League personally if it was me. Let me know if you guys would treat it any differently. But yeah, I just think any more injuries is really going to affect our league at the moment, and the situation we are in, it's not exactly like we've got points to lose, is it? So I think we need to be careful. Is top 4 back on again? Now we are in 7th stage, George. I love the positivity, but I think we've got to be realistic. I don't think we're going to get top 4 this season. I'm being totally honest, and I'm not actually that gutted about it. I know people say, "Oh, Champions League football, we recruit the best players." But for me, we've just been edging it. We've just been scraping getting into the Champions League, when realistically we are simply not good enough at the moment. I think we need to get a strong core of players in there. We need to get rid of the deadwood. I think we kind of need to start from scratch. And I know it sounds harsh, but I think we've been papering over the cracks a bit, really, when we've been scraping into the Champions League. When the reality is we are simply not good enough to be in that situation right now. I think we're far off the top 4 at the moment with the way that we are playing. Personally, I think top 6 is a lot more achievable. But if we get top 4, obviously fantastic. However, I'm not looking at it as a complete negative. I think we've been papering over the cracks a little bit. January, I think, will be a big turning point for us. If we do get some recruitments in, it could be looking a lot more positive. If we don't, then again, I've already mentioned how weak our squad is, and I don't think it's that realistic that we're going to get top 4. However, don't write United off. Do not write United off, of course. That's what you guys are saying. I remember people saying Scott McSauce is not good enough, has only passion and nothing else to offer, but look how he's improved now. I remember being on the United stand a long time ago when McTominay started to get a few minutes here and there. And I remember saying he's not a glamorous player, however he's a player who does the simple things well in that middle. He battles, and I liked him, and I said I really liked him in that holding role. I think he shields the back four well. Like I say, he keeps it simple. He's not the most technical of players, but I think you always need someone like that in your team. And I do like McTominay, and I've had a lot of stick for saying that, but I genuinely like him. I think he's consistent. I think what you see is what you get with him. And I think if you look at Henderson, for example, at Liverpool, I can't stand Henderson, but if you look at him, he's a similar player. I'm not saying McTominay is better or anything like that, but I'm just saying the player who he obviously loves the club, he's passionate, he's a leader, and he does the simple stuff well. And I think he's Mr. Consistent, and I think Henderson is exactly the same in the way of the style of the player. I think he's Mr. Consistent, and every team needs someone like that. And that's why I think people hate McTominay, and I genuinely do not. I think he keeps it simple and he does what he needs to do in that holding role. Yes, he's limited going forwards, but that's why I'm saying we're lacking that creative player in there. McTominay, I think, does a great job there. Michael says you missed on the United stand, so appreciate that, Michael. Thank you for tuning in on my channel. Of course, your support does mean a lot, but I do appreciate that kind words. Thank you. McTominay keeps things simple, nothing and basic, nothing flashy. Exactly. I was about to say how many times do you see him give the ball away, but he did that yesterday and Norwich went on and scored, so I'm not going to say that. But yeah, he is Mr. Consistent. He literally is. I think what you see, what you get with him, he's not the most glamorous, but I think he's good. George Kyle says, expect we will sign no one in January. I hope you're wrong, George. I hope you're wrong. But I think all of us are a bit like that. We have a lack of confidence in our board. Josh says, get Meg on. Josh, me and Meg have got a show on Wednesday. It's been recorded. as I'm sure you're aware. So your missus will be on Wednesday, and it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show. So me and Meg have already recorded it. We've done our Ultimate 11 for the Sophie and Meg show on Wednesday. Players past and present, mostly the past, of course. But yeah, it should be a fantastic watch for you guys. Come and join in as well, and obviously give us feedback. Tell us what your Ultimate United 11 is. To get your thinking caps on now. Get your thinking caps on now. No pun again. After the events of yesterday. But yeah, get your thinking cap on and tell us what your Ultimate 11 is. It was an interesting one. Meg put a few questionable ones in there. But yeah, again, should be a good watch, and I hope you will tune in for that one. We might sign one player in January. I think we need to ship a few out. I don't think that'll happen. We definitely need to sign at least one. Creative midfielder, but a striker is essential for me. A striker is absolutely essential. But like I say, Martial's goal yesterday was good. And I want to see more of that link-up play. Nipun, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. He said, would Leon Goretzka be a good signing for United? I've got to be honest. Goretzka, yes, fantastic player. Do you think he'd be suited to the Premier League? I think that's my question. You've probably seen more of Goretzka than I have. Do you think he'd be suited to the Premier League? And I think that's a big question. January is already a risk to sign players, especially if they're not Premier League proven, because they need time to adapt. Yeah, January transfers are a lot more awkward, maybe in the summer, but January is that kind of right signing we should make. Alex, again, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, what are your thoughts on Brandon Williams? I think he's positive. Going forwards, I think he offers something different. I think Luke Shaw, now his place is really under question, because I think Williams has come in defensively. I think he's looked very, very strong. I think defensively he looks decent. He's young. He's young, and he's obviously got a long way to go. But I think defensively he looks stable, and going forwards he offers something very different as well. I think he drives. He's very positive. He tries to beat a man, which is something that Luke Shaw, since his injury, let's be totally honest, he doesn't do. Luke Shaw lacks confidence going forwards. He lacks confidence in all areas for me, and I think the injury played a big part in that. And it's a shame. Whether it's a mentality thing, I'm not quite sure, but he always looks nervous. He never looks 100% confident, and that's why I think Williams now is definitely close to getting that spot. I really do, and I do fear for Luke Shaw's future at United, because for me, someone said he's bank average there. I don't think he's bank average. I just don't think he's the same player as he was before that injury. Give Tuanzebe a go. Tuanzebe played fullback against Arsenal. I thought he played well. Obviously, again, a bit like McTominay, great performance. I would have given him man of the match, but he had a mistake. He gave the ball away for the Arsenal goal. But other than that, I think, you know what, Tuanzebe again is another one who's striving. He's playing fantastically well. He's got all the right attributes, hasn't he? He's quick, he's strong. I know Villa fans loved him when he was there. And he's one for the future, definitely. And I've already said Lindelof, for me, he gets bullied too much. When the ball is in the air especially, I think he gets bullied. And Tuanzebe is one who, you've got to say, he looks slightly more stable when the ball is in the air. It's an interesting one. He's definitely one for the future. But all in all, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. As always, I love doing this recap, this roundup, this review, whatever you want to call it, because it's not all about United. It's about Premier League football and a whole, and all the big talking points. And Xhaka was one that I really was dying to talk about today. Obviously, a massive discussion was going on there. And I was interested to see what you guys thought about that, whether he should stay, whether he should go, whether he should never play for Arsenal again, or just simply lose captain's armband. It's an interesting one, but thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Like I say, the Sophie and Meg show will be up on Wednesday. Our Ultimate 11. Let me know what you guys think about that as well. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please, yeah, get in the chat, drop a comment, and I'll definitely respond. Thank you so much, guys. Like I say, I appreciate it, and have a lovely, lovely evening.